6 p.m., March 21st, 2023. Call to order the Cody County Council meeting. As a reminder, the public has 2 times that they can speak in a council meeting. The first is public comments, and the second is public hearing, if there's one scheduled. Other than those 2 times, the public should remain silent during the council meeting. Anyone making a disturbance during the meeting will be asked to leave council chambers for the remainder of the meeting. Also, as a reminder, please ensure that you follow the county's legal prohibition against engaging in partisan political activity, including speech, during this meeting. This meeting is not called for that activity, and such activity is prohibited by law. Moment of silence, please. Mr. Root?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you'd like to. Well, dear Father, our good Father, thank you for letting us know what is good, for giving us absolute truth and a light toward it, that we might see what is good, that we might follow what is good and do what is good. Thank you for the sunshine today, for our very lives, the air we breathe, all the things we might take for granted. Help us not to do that, but have truly appreciative hearts. To be thankful also for this time to get together with the citizenry, staff, and council to do your work. And I pray that that would be done, that this would be your meeting. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Ms. Brock, would you lead us to the pledge, please?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the March 3rd, 2023 special meeting minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
Is there a motion to approve the March 7th, 2023 regular minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
Mr. Root?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just a housekeeping matter. I need a motion to essentially clean up the agenda. I understand we have no board or commission appointments, and there are 2 matters in executive session that we no longer need. So I need a motion to amend the agenda to remove board and commission appointments and remove from executive session Project Red and the receipt of legal advice related to code enforcement procedures and prospective litigation.
Second.
All in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Ms. Brock?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of council in the audience, just a reminder that we do have the first budget committee meeting held this Friday morning at 9 a.m. here in council chambers.
Is that it?
That is all, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, presentation to council, Task Force on Agriculture, Lisa Jones.
I'd like to take just one moment, if I could, Mr. Chairman, and introduce Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones was hired as a consultant by Oconee County. Ms. Jones has decades of experience, I don't want to give her like your young age, in agricultural preservation, conservation projects, and has worked in various counties and organizations throughout the state of South Carolina, and is renowned for her experience and expertise. And we'd like to thank you on behalf of the Agriculture Advisory Task Force for your assistance, for your guidance, for your leadership, and I echo if I'm incorrect anywhere, but Ms. Jones is presenting the final draft of the Agricultural Preservation Task Force recommendation. The task force work is yet to begin. This is simply a roadmap for us to begin the process for searching for alternatives for the preservation of ag task force in Oconee. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Young age, so young I have to take off my glasses to read. Good evening, Chairman and Council and Oconee staff. Thank you, Amanda, for that kind introduction. So I am here tonight to present the final report that the Task Force for Agriculture has been working on. You should have a copy with you tonight. I'm not going to go through every page. It's a long report. A lot of work went into the report. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank the members of the task force who put their time into monthly meetings and reviews and surveys and phone calls. Many of the members are here tonight. They're Frankie Pearson, who was the chairman of the task force, and Stanley Gibson, Natalie Arnold, Bob Winchester, Emily Hitchcock, and Kim Alexander put in hours of time, and I just appreciate that so much. It made the job a lot easier for me to put together this report. As you may recall, this report was a result of a resolution that passed in August of last year, of 2022. Specifically, the resolution asked for a task force to be formed to look at the issue of agriculture decline in Oconee County, including the loss of viable farmland, and then to develop solutions and bring those to you. That is what the report is, and that's what we have spent the past 6 months or so doing. I'm here tonight to talk to you about what is in the report, although a lot of the information in the report can be found in the executive summary. I encourage you to read the entire report. There are other items that I hit on in the report that are important for the county to consider. I also realize that many of you are, or some of you are new to council and were not here when the resolution was passed. It is still, I think, pertinent information and will be for a long time. Agricultural preservation and conservation is not an overnight activity and is ongoing, so hopefully this is useful information to those of you who are new. In the beginning of the report, so what I'm going to do is just kind of walk through the report, but quickly so that I'm not reading it back to you, and give an overview of the major points and recommendations. In the beginning of the report, you'll find evidence to suggest that agricultural land is disappearing. It is, and farmers are facing many threats as they endeavor to keep their farm businesses afloat. Unfortunately, this isn't unique to Oconee County. It is a trend, but there are things you can do at the county level to lessen the effects of these challenges. In Appendix D, you can find statistics that the American Farmland Trust has put together for the state of South Carolina. They're very useful statistics. I understand they were here and presented the information that they've been compiling over the years in the threats to farmland report that they have. But the report that I put together and that the task force and I have been working on highlights more than just the problems that are facing Oconee County. It identifies actions that council can take immediately and in the future to begin to identify and secure prime farmland in the county and to support agribusiness and to ensure that the future of food production in the county is secure. The most immediate action that council can take is to look at the recommendations presented in your own comprehensive plan. I find it to be a very thorough document. You all and staff and the public have done a great job in participating. The public's participated. The staff has done a good job in capturing what was said, the concerns, and many of the recommendations that I came up with actually echoed what's in your own comprehensive plan. But I do think that, and that's found on page 17 of the report, I pulled out the recommendations that are specific to agriculture from the comprehensive plan. I do think it's worth revisiting those recommendations and coming up with a timeline and prioritizing. There are a lot of recommendations, and sometimes that gets overwhelming, so I'm also going to make a recommendation of what I think through this work kind of surfaces as a priority. If the county is serious about protecting the agriculture industry, there also needs to be a financial commitment to land conservation. That is without a doubt one of the most important things that any municipality or jurisdiction can do to protect land, and it's critically important. In Part 5 of the report you have in front of you on page 13, I have listed all of the approaches available to the county to pursue funding. Those approaches include everything from budget allocations to, I know when I say this, you're not going to like the sound of it, but local option sales tax. So I listed out options that council can just look at to know what's being done in other parts of South Carolina. On this point, recently Berkeley and Dorchester counties passed local sales tax referendums that had a green space component. That the referendums also address roads and bridges, and green space was a small part of it. That's a common model. For what that's worth, it's a conservative environment there, and it passed. One thing that you can do that is available to you that I just want to mention is there are entities that come do polling. They're nonprofit entities, and they can poll the public to see what would actually pass, because nobody wants to spend time on any initiative that won't pass muster with the public. So that's an option that you may want to consider pursuing. Those entities are Conservation Voters of South Carolina, the Trust for Public Land, and you can reach out to me if those entities aren't available for some reason in the future, and we can find a group to do that polling. Another recommendation, and it is probably more appealing, but in full candor, it's less impactful, is the establishment of voluntary agricultural districts. This is a recommendation that is also included in the comprehensive plan, but one that I too think is important for the county to pursue. It could be a program that is established by tapping into the Oconee County Advisory Board, the Agricultural Advisory Board that already exists. And there are model ordinances, there are programs that are set up in other states where it has been a successful way to delineate where people are producing food on a map, and then have certain benefits that convey with opting into the voluntary program. So that's an option out there that would be helpful in Oconee County. Fourth, there are 2 staff positions you'll see that are mentioned throughout the document. Again, this is where the financial commitment comes into play. One staff position that would be extremely helpful would be a staff position within the county that would be a liaison that would help with communications to farmers specifically and would represent the interest of farmers. I also think there's a way to, one of the things that I've heard from the community is that the advisory board, the Agriculture Advisory Board, at one point in time was structured in a way where it represented industries, and now it's representative of districts, and maybe that doesn't necessarily represent the farming community in the way that would be best for getting input and engagement. That's one thing to consider. So the second staff position would be the Soil and Water Conservation employee. Mr. Winchester has talked about all of the good work that they are doing, but they hold easements on property, and I was shocked to find out it's a large number. And it would be great to have someone stewarding easements and expanding the easement opportunities to farmers. A lot of the kind of land trust and nonprofits do not specialize in agricultural easements, and that is something that the Soil and Water Conservation District brings to the table. Let's see, the report goes on to mention other investments and strategies to promote agriculture, including supporting educational programs and supporting the local food council work here, examining zoning overlays, and taking an inventory of meat processing facilities and looking at potential upgrades that would make them USDA compliant, where meat can then cross state lines. It is a costly but important upgrade for processing facilities. Like I mentioned, this is a lot of information. What I'm outlining up here is just a tidbit of what's in the report. It's not a quick fix, but the steps that I've outlined are a roadmap, and everybody, citizens, the staff, you as council, can look at these steps, act on them, and it will be an effective way to support food and farm businesses in this county. I, again, just thank you so much for this initiative, the support, the staff support, the support of residents, the people in the community who have talked to me. It's been a pleasure working with every single person in this county. I love it in Oconee County. I've enjoyed getting to know this part of the state, and I really look forward to hearing what is pursued that is in this report. So right now, I'll open it up to questions, and thank you so much.
Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Ms. Jones, thank you for working through this as well as the task force as well. There's, I guess, probably the last 3 or 4 years, there's always been thrown around about an agricultural person that's employed by the county, what they would do, how you would design that. Whether it's, some help at the farm center, help through agriculture, what does that look like? And I guess my question to you is, what other counties are you seeing where they're actually creating those positions? Because obviously as a state, there is tons of positions on agriculture, but as in counties, what are you seeing across South Carolina as a agricultural position, and what does that job entail, or what have you seen it entail?
It's a great question. I'll get back to you with more specifics on that, because I don't have a county by county breakdown on what is being done in terms of staff. I can speak only from the experience that I've had in my surrounding area, and typically what it looks like is a liaison who works with the Ag Advisory Board if the Ag Advisory Board is representative of the farming community. I would guess, well, I'm not going to guess, I'm going to get back to you with facts, but there are other ways that that employee can be structured. And I know that some of the more agricultural counties have employees. I don't know what they're tasked with doing, and I don't have a complete list for you, but I'll get back to you. It's a good question.
Any other questions?
I have lots of questions, but I've got to think through them first.
How many people from the task force are here tonight? Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I'd like to
your
thank,
service on that.
yeah, I'd like to thank y'all also, and thank Ms. Jones for being kind of the liaison and coordinator, and appreciate
My
that.
pleasure.
Here again,
Thank you.
appreciate the folks that served, took time out of their lives. So, thank y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Public comment session. As a reminder, the public has 4 minutes to speak. When 3 minutes is up, you'll see a yellow sign. When 4 minutes up, you'll see a red sign. Mr. Charles Lentz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members. In 2017, council passed a resolution condemning the Compassionate Care Act that would have legalized the smoking of marijuana for medicinal purposes. The bill languished in Columbia for 5 years, and then last year it was amended to allow the vaping of marijuana products. That's even worse. Nevertheless, the Senate passed it. Fortunately, it was derailed on its way to the House. However, it's expected to pass this session, so I'm back again to ask you to resolve against this even more harmful version of the bill. Although intended for adults only, the Compassionate Care Act would hurt children the most. Vaping has created its own lung disease. Most of those who have died from it were vaping marijuana products, such as CBD oil, which is a craze among young people. The majority of lung disease victims were under 24 years of age. Experts say even breathing in secondhand smoke reduces the cognitive ability and permanently lowers the IQs of young people. Some experts blame marijuana for the current rise in depression and suicides among our youth, particularly teenage girls. The Compassionate Care Act falsely claims it can benefit victims of diseases that it can't, like multiple sclerosis and post-traumatic stress disorder. The MS Foundation says marijuana does nothing to help MS victims. The American Medical Association and the Veterans Administration agree that marijuana does nothing to help PTSD sufferers and can actually do them more harm. Yes, there are drugs produced from the marijuana plant, such as Epidiolex for epilepsy and Marinol for cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy. But they are available by prescription in South Carolina. No new legislation is needed, and none of them are vaped. Liberals are pushing marijuana legalization in the name of social justice. In fact, drug abuse is holding back many minority groups. Advocates make claims that simply aren't true. Based on experience of states that have already legalized marijuana, there won't be a tax revenue windfall, more likely not enough to regulate the marijuana industry and pay the additional health care and law enforcement costs. Organized crime won't go away because the drug cartels will be able to meet the higher demand with a cheaper product. They don't pay taxes. And the latest propaganda that marijuana reduces opioid abuse is simply not true. Marijuana and opioids are being used in tandem. When medical marijuana was legalized in Colorado, crime rose 11 times faster than the national average. Marijuana-related automobile accidents doubled. Employee absenteeism and shoddy workmanship increased. More troubling, though, the number of students in Colorado using marijuana rose to 4 times the national average. The number of school suspensions and dropouts climbed. We can expect similar results right here in Oconee County. So please, resolve against this harmful and senseless legislation. Don't let the health and well-being of our children go up in smoke.
Sir, could you please state your name again for the record?
My name's Charles Lutz. I'm a retired special agent and senior executive with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration.
Michelle Ballin.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Balon and I live in Kiwi Key. I wanted to reach out to you again as a resident to let you know there's a huge concern countywide about all the trash. Garbage all over our public roadways, in business parking lots, outside our communities, in our lakes, in our parks. It is horrible. This issue affects everyone who lives, works, or visits Oconee County. We live in one of the most amazing areas in the country, surrounded by national and state parks, beautiful lakes, and remarkable wildlife. And it is up to us as a community to preserve and protect it. I have spoken to the litter officer on several occasions, and his resources are so limited that something has to be done to get the community involved on a much larger scale. I sent a small list of potential solutions to council members and staff about a month ago, and I ask that you review and consider it again. I am sure there are many more potential solutions out there. I'm just trying to be part of the solution and not the pollution. Some ideas that I did share was number one, and I think this is most important to consider, is to form a local task force made up of volunteers that you select that can work with community leaders and organizations to evaluate the issues and come up with a plan. They can report to the county council on a monthly basis with progress and solutions. To enforce a sign ordinance to prevent advertising signage on every street corner, on light posts, trees, etc. to notify businesses of consequences for not keeping their properties litter-free in their parking lot, street frontage, and overflowing dumpsters, to increase awareness of local littering laws, more communication regarding local littering laws and consequences on social media, email campaigns, signs, etc., that are very little cost to the county, to encourage residents to report littering law offenses and how to do it, to increase Adopt a Highway and give local recognition to those who take on the task through signage and recognition at monthly council meetings, to partner with cities and local organizations to educate the public on the importance of proper trash disposal and recycling, i.e. one of the organizations is Keep Oconee Beautiful, or FOLK, which is Friends of Lake Huey. Evaluate what other counties are doing to battle these issues and use their best practices. Many other counties have the same issues, so there's no reason to recreate the wheel. And DNR also has some strong littering protocols to prosecute litter offenders. Support litter prevention education programs in the schools. Support cities and local organizations that organize regular voluntary cleanup with residents. Provide additional dumpsters, supplies, and trash pickups to public areas like parks, boat ramps, homeless areas, beaches. Consider opening the local recycling centers on Wednesdays so people have more access to public disposal sites. Promote local Keep Oconee Clean efforts and educate on the county website, social media, and other marketing channels. Create a brochure that can be distributed through the county that focuses on the importance of keeping our county clean, local garbage sites, littering laws and consequences, and how residents can help. Hire additional code enforcement officers to enforce the littering laws, and approach the largest employers and organizations in the county to get involved. They can sponsor cleanup days, support education, and other cleanup initiatives. Companies like Duke, Berg Warner, Oconee Memorial, Publix, Ingalls, churches, and large communities like the Cliffs and Kewee. I have received some feedback from council members, and I'm here today to ask for immediate attention to these issues because it's the worst I've seen it. It's time to put trash in its place, and I thank you for your time.
Candy Bianco?
Good evening. My name is Candy Bianco. I'm here to request more transparency from the council on three particular issues. I feel that it's impossible for the taxpayer to understand and opine on some of the council resolutions without adequate information. So my first issue is old business. The council told us that Sewer South Phase 2 would generate tax revenue and future jobs. And you also said that you would protect the farmers and the farmland, and it was wonderful to hear from Ms. Jones that you have an action plan for that. But I would like an explanation on the source, the amount, and timing of these future revenues and jobs that you mentioned. My second issue is on the resolutions that you're voting on tonight, resolutions 2023 and 05 and 2023-06. In the Journal today, a fee in lieu of tax incentive of 6% assessment ratio and various special source revenue credits for these two projects was reported. I would like to know how much tax revenue is being given as an incentive to these businesses and what commitments these businesses have made for their investment of the special source revenue credit. Third, I know that in the meeting following this that you'll be discussing the additional student housing. So my question to you, or my comment to you, is that most of us don't want to see Seneca and Route 23 turn into a twin of Clemson Route 23. So I want to ask the council what it is that they would like from the Oconee County taxpayers, whether it be signatures, emails, etc., to show that we hope that you would vote no on that resolution for additional student housing in Oconee County. I want to thank you for your time this evening.
Okay, council member comments, and I'll start off with, I agree with Mr. Lutz, and I'd like to make a motion that council direct the county administrator and the county clerk, council clerk, to draft a letter for council to our county delegation with a copy to Governor McMaster proposing the Compassionate Care Act. The letter will be signed by the council chair. Is there a second? Okay,
I'd have to have more information to proceed, I'm sorry. I've read it, but at this moment today, I'd have to have more
okay,
information.
can we put that on the, Ms. Brock, can we put that on the agenda for the next meeting to give Mr. Davis some time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Michelle Bailey, I appreciate your communication we've had back and forth on litter. I picked up a lot this weekend, and it's back tomorrow, so it's one of those, the never-ending battle of litter, unfortunately. And if you watched our strategic plan, I think all of us sitting around that table talked about the issue with litter and how to address it. Code enforcement is one of those. We're working through that. Oftentimes we'll have litter on one piece of property that ends out one storm and it becomes litter across the road. I spoke with Ms. Brock about some of the issues around solid waste and how to address that. I mean, obviously that is how do you say it, a huge area. Not only is it maybe uncovered trucks, but it's also some of our, as they pick up trash trucks, some of the stuff doesn't always get into the trash truck. So as the member cities and stuff drive through there, you can tell what those routes are. I've spoke a little bit with them, and they've tried to talk a little bit with their trash trucks on making sure on those long rides from the cities where they're going 5 to 10 miles an hour to where they're going 50 to 60 coming to us. That's really when a lot of that trash lets loose. So they're trying to work through some things on that. We've worked on some encouragement on helping groups and actually funding some ways on that. I think we need to do a little bit better job of announcing those. Spoke with Sheriff Singleton. Well, I went way back, didn't I, Mike? Sorry, Sheriff Crenshaw back there. This has been a issue for years, which is why Sheriff Singleton has some things that he worked on as well. Sheriff Crenshaw's taken a lot of that and tried to amp that up. So we're working through that as well. Now, it's not enough. We're continuing to do more. Appreciate people like you being involved and making sure to keep your thumb on it as well. On that resolution, Ms. Bianco, that you're talking about, some of that stuff is all, and I'll let Ms. Brock speak on this as well. On the agendas, you can click on the backup. Some of the stuff's in there. I'll let Ms. Brock speak directly on some of the economic development. Mr. Root can guide you on that as well, and I'd like his input on that as well as it pertains to certain economic development deals and when certain things are allowed to become public. And we as council always don't know, because there's 3 readings, a public hearing before the 3rd reading. And some of us on council don't know exactly what everything is involved in that until we're at 2nd reading. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, Mr. Brock,
Third reading, you said
Mr. Root,
second reading, but it's third reading when we find out everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure, Ms. Brock.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of council, Mr. Root, I'm gonna ask that you be my editor after the fact in the event that I sway
Do my
from
best.
100% absolute fact. Economic development matters are typically held exempt from Freedom of Information Act until certain announcements from the company have been made. A lot of economic development projects, specifically those coming from Department of Commerce of the state of South Carolina, have confidentiality agreements associated with them until an announcement is made. So you'll see something on our agenda as Project X, or whatever the project name is. So we have been instructed to hold those in confidentiality until the i's have been dotted and the t's have been crossed. And that, the due diligence period has been completed and that they're certain that the next step is going to be made. Economic development projects are extremely competitive, especially for us in our geographical location. So we may have a company that is interested in locating in Oconee County, but at the same time, they're volleying with another location in a nearby southeastern state. Typically, some of the incentive packages, because they are confidential, we don't even know, like on the other side. So when it comes to making the agreements or inducement agreements or attracting those businesses or industries, we are at strict confidentiality, because you don't wanna give away the card in your hand, so to speak.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, yeah, that is very accurate. So, no editing needed. I would just add, tonight we have a couple of resolutions. Those are inducement resolutions. So those aren't final actions as to the incentive proposals to these companies. They're preliminary kind of comfort letters for the companies to move forward. After that, we'll have the ordinances, and while, as Ms. Brock stated, they'll be in project names, often like Project Made or what have you, we generally attempt to get, that's not required by FOIA, our Freedom of Information Act, to get the fee in lieu of tax agreement, the multi-county industrial park agreement attached to the ordinance. If not on first reading, certainly by second reading, and as Mr. Elliott noted, the company name is then on third reading. That's when they do their announcement. But if you have questions about it, feel free to give me a call.
Okay, thank you. So I'd also like to talk about the litter. I'd like to thank the good citizens of Coney County. I see them out every weekend on the roads, picking up trash. And I've said this before, it breaks my heart. But a week later, there's trash all over that road again. If we had an easy solution, I think we would go for it. But, and as you said, we need to all work together. But I'd like to thank those citizens that go out there and do that. And I see them every weekend on different roads. It just breaks my heart when I see the next week. Any other comments? If not, we'll move on.
Excuse me, I don't know if I can comment or just ask a question.
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
I just
Mary,
wanna
you
know
can
why,
come-
but,
if you
thank you, David.
Thank you. I need to state my name again?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Thank you.
And ma'am, if I could, just, our rules govern the exchange, that there be no exchange back and forth between council and public comment, just so you know. They're not trying to ignore you.
Michelle Bailon, Kiwi Key. I'm trying to understand the reason why you won't consider an advisory committee, because county staff says that they're limited in resources because there's so many open positions, but to have people that are passionate, that are in the community, that are willing to volunteer and help put together a program and increase communication and increase, involvement in the community with the organizations that are already here, I just don't know why you won't consider, or why you're not considering that, because it's only a benefit to you and it doesn't cost the taxpayers, or the county anything.
Any other comments? If not, we'll move on. Second reading of the following ordinance, ordinance 2023-06. An ordinance authorizing the conveyance of certain real property owned by Coney County consisting of approximately .15 acres and being a portion of tax map number 520-36-10-07, parcel 1, and authorizing the receipt of certain real property owned by Pine Ridge MHC SC LLC consisting of approximately .25 acres and being a portion of tax map number 240-00-04023, parcel 2, in exchange for the conveyance of parcel 1 and other matters related thereto. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
That is 4-0.
First and final reading for the following resolutions. Resolution 2023-04, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a memorandum of understanding between Oconee County, South Carolina, and the Corinth Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department regarding the provision of the county employees and equipment to assist the Corinth Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department with increased emergency response demands. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
That is 4A.
Resolution 2023-05, providing preliminary approval pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina 1976, as amended, for the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax agreement by and among Oconee County, South Carolina, a company identified for the time being as Project EVPAC, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates of Project EVPAC, including EVPAC affiliate and any other project company, Project EVPAC affiliate, and any other project companies approved by the county, collectively the company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem tax incentive, providing for special source revenue credits, modifying a joint county industrial and business park agreement between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to enlarge the park and to other matters, related matters. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, real quick, I
Yes.
always like to mention this, because it was brought up again tonight. On the fee in lieu of was, came across the state delegation, and it was actually before, I think it was 2017 is when there was an amendment on there. Manufacturing tax was like 14%, so fee in lieu of was designed by the state, passed the House and the Senate in order for counties to make sure that we're staying competitive with other states. So sometimes you hear that fee in lieu of, and you're thinking that we're giving something away for nothing. We're actually making sure that we're competitive with other states as well, to make sure that our manufacturing tax is determined actually by the county in which those reside in. So that's kind of when you hear that fee in lieu of, don't think we're throwing a bunch of money away. Without that, you're probably getting zero projects. So I'm very appreciative of council considering that, and state delegation putting that forth so we can use that as a tool to get economic development. I just want to bring that up, Mr. Chairman, since that was discussed again tonight. Thank you, sir.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
That is 4A.
Resolution 2023-06, providing preliminary approval pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina 1976, as amended, for the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and a company identified for the time being as Project MADE, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies, collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem tax incentives, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating a joint county industrial and business park between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to include project property in the park, authorizing the execution and delivery of one or more grant agreements and other related matters. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
That is 4A.
Discussion regarding action items. PRT Commission Local A-Tax Recommendations, Spring 2023 Cycle, $85,326. Beginning local A-Tax balance, $555,687. If all grants and projects approved, new balance will be $470,361. Are matching funds available? Yes. If yes, who is matching and how much? Varies by grant. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the local A-Tax recommendations per the attached spreadsheet that was in the backup. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Always appreciative of our A-Tax group. We spent a lot of time going through all these. I think we've got a lot of applications And, Mr. Phil Shirley leads that. Thank you for your leadership in that as well.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
That is 4A.
Okay, council committee reports, Budget Finance Administrative Committee, Mr. Elliott, March 7th, 2023. Let's see, the committee met at 4:30 PM on March 7th, 2023, where Ms. Brock provided a fiscal year 2022-2023 budget update, along with an overview of council priorities that were brought forth during the strategic planning retreat with preliminary budget estimates and possible funding sources. The committee unanimously voted to approve all Tier 1, 2, and 3 priorities and recommendations for fiscal year 2023-24. The next Budget Finance Administrative meeting will be a budget workshop on Friday, March 24th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Okay, we've amended, so we're not doing any board and commission appointments. Council will go into executive session for the following. 1, discuss economic development matter project dual. 2, discuss economic development matter project parallel. 3, discuss economic development matter sanctuary point. And 4, discuss an economic development matter project Green Falls. Is there a motion to go into executive session? All in favor? Aye. there a motion to go out of executive session?
Second.
No action was taken in executive session. Mr. Root?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The only motion that we need stemming from executive session is one to direct staff to proceed with negotiations as discussed for Project Parallel.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to go, excuse me, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
We're out.